Hey guys, I'm going to ask a question, and I'm sure many of you guys are feeling it right now. Is Bitcoin cooked? Or has it stalled compared to the stock market? I mean, it does not look great right now, and hasn't looked great for a bit in the Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Now, I don't think it's cooked, but I do think there's been a big divergence, and I think a lot of faith has been lost in the orange coin over the past 6 to 9 months. This divergence is showing like, hey, data centers are doing all-time highs. Computer storage, AI. I mean, we're in a little bubble, and I don't know when it'll pop. Maybe it's the SpaceX IPO, but things are pumping like they've never pumped before. And this divergence is being seen clearly because Bitcoin has been petering out. It's been kind of leveling at the 70,000 range when everything else has just been skyrocketing. So why is it this week? Why is Bitcoin so weak right now compared to the stock market? And I think there's a few things. I think the way I look at it is most of the people that got into Bitcoin like a year and a half, 2 years ago when the ETFs came out, they had no idea what it was. They just saw other people making a lot of money with it and they wanted a piece of the pie. And so they ended up kind of just going along with the ride. And, I think people noticed it went down and they're like, wait, what is this? They didn't see it for a year or two. They're like, what is this? What is this asset? And they didn't really know about it. So then they sold it off. And I think there's a lot of people that bought the ETFs that didn't have conviction, didn't understand the asset, and it's creating a lot of selling pressure. So I think there's a lack of conviction amongst a lot of the people that have entered the space recently. Now, one of the next things is the stock market. It's getting carried by the top 10% of AI tech stocks, and Bitcoin isn't an AI play. And it's not really a tech play, even though it is an asset that tracks with the Nasdaq. So Bitcoin, it's not, doesn't have earnings. It's hard money, and hard money has been sold off. Look at gold. Look at silver. Look at all those. I mean, they're still high compared to where they were 5 years ago, but they're not as high compared to their all-time highs. So I think community sentiment with Bitcoin is near all-time lows. Really, I mean, it's been low, very low. And, it's sad to see because I think people that got into it, they just got in for Sailor, got in for this and that. And there's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of fork war discussions. There's a lot of discussions about, the future of the protocol, quantum, all that. And I think paper exposure with this asset is near all-time highs. So what paper exposure means you don't really hold the company you're buying doesn't hold the asset really. So they're saying they own it, but do they actually own the Bitcoin or do they have a claim on the Bitcoin? So I actually believe right now we're in a bear market in terms of a Bitcoin cycle, and this is contributing to that. When will it reverse? I don't know. I think we're seeing the top 10 of society. They're pumping up the stock market. They don't know as much about Bitcoin. And I think something will snap soon. And I think this could actually further contribute to Bitcoin sell-off. We're seeing unsustainable price to earnings levels right now, like we saw between 1929 and 2007. And when people lose faith in it, they're not putting money into it, and there could be hedge funds and stuff like that selling. So, there's a lot of factors that are causing Bitcoin's price to remain subdued. I don't think long term, there's nothing wrong technically with the protocol, but I think there are a lot of factors that are contributing to that as well. With all the macro uncertainty, I do think there will be a lot of future money printing, and this will actually find its way back into Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin now more than ever, it is the asset where global neutral trade will be settled. Look at Iran, look at the Strait of Hormuz, look at Oman. Look at these countries. that don't trust each other. We're not holding each other's debt. We don't want to use each other's shitcoin, right? So what do we use if we can't use their shitcoin? We use Bitcoin, right? And so I don't think the dollar or the yuan will be used to settle trade in the future. Now it may be used in different circumstances, but overall, I think there will need to be a neutral settlement layer. And we need that. Even if we don't do that, we need that. That's something we need to work towards, because if we're not having a neutral money, then anytime you say something your enemy doesn't agree with, they can just cut you off. I think it's good. I mean, it's not good for the Bitcoin holders. It's good that it's not correlated as much right now to all this tech euphoria. But I do think that, I would like to see Bitcoin trade on its own away from all these other assets. And I think we're seeing that now, and that's a good thing. It doesn't share the same properties as AI stocks or tech stocks or blue chips. It doesn't have any of those qualities. Maybe it has one or two of the 10 qualities, but it doesn't have the same qualities. So why is it trading in correlation? And so it's kind of refreshing to see that it is not trading in that correlation. Although it's not good for my net worth, that doesn't matter. I think it's its own thing, right? And keep in mind too, all these stocks, they have a lot of passive flows from pensions, indexes, passive investors, and Bitcoin doesn't catch this bid, right? And so I think with pensions and index getting these passive flows, it's nonstop creating a positive force underneath these AI stocks and speculative stocks. It won't be good once when the tide turns, but for now, they're making money. Good for them. I think that's, you should always be happy for others making money. But for now, what I'm doing personally, I'm still stacking sats. Staying humble, stacking sats, keeping it going. Because I don't think anything fundamentally has changed with Bitcoin. The community, all-time lows. But I think it'll reach highs again when we see money printing kick off, if we do see money printing kick off. And I'll be here for it. So anyways, guys, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.